actually got the ball. Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur, and welcome back to our pre-match build-up to what could be a historic night for Tottenham out in Europe, or out in Norway, shall I say. We're taking a 2-goal cushion into the Arctic Circle, but nothing is guaranteed, especially not in the semi-final, especially not when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur as well. From plastic pitches to past collapses to who steps up in Madison's absence, we're going to be digging into all of it tonight. I'm not going to lie, this is the most nervous I have been for a Tottenham Hotspur game in a long, long time, which probably shows the importance of it. Oh, I'm so nervous. It's such a big night out in Norway, gentlemen. How are we all feeling ahead of tonight's game? We'll start with you, Dharma. Pumped? Excited?
I am
nervous?
pumped. I'm not nervous at all. I'm not nervous at all. Normally, I'd be nervous. I'm not. I'm full of confidence that we're going all the way to Bilbao. We're going there. We're going to turn up tonight. We're going to win. We're going to play well. We're going to get to a final. And we're going to do one thing them lot down the road can never do, is win a cup. So that's what we're going to do. I'm so excited for tonight. Tonight's like full. I'm now full of excitement, full of energy, full of everything. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go and win this Europa League. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say, even the Vatican City are supporting Spurs have just put white smoke out the chimney. So it's Lily White, even they're supporting the Lily Whites.
Yeah,
obviously we've got a new Pope as well for those that may be interested. Look, semi-final, second leg, we're 3-1 up. Anybody think we're not going to do it? Because we're going to Bilbao, baby. We're going to Bilbao. And prediction already, we're doing it within 90 minutes.
Do you not think that their goal that they scored at our stadium, though, keeps this alive?
No.
Not really. No.
No? Doesn't.
No. Short and sweet for you, Dave?
No. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, look, let's get straight into it. I mean, look, Tottenham do head into this game off the back of a solid 3-1 lead, but there's still a lot of doubt among Spurs fans about our chances in Norway tonight. A lot of Spurs supporters aren't feeling confident about pulling off a result at the Aspmyr Stadion tonight. And we've heard similar concerns ahead of our trip to Eintracht Frankfurt in the last round in playing away in Bodo. Is Bodo actually a tougher test than what the trip out in Germany was? Because there are a lot more Spurs fans nervous heading into this one.
Yeah, I think we're nervous because we're Spurs. Look, doesn't matter who we're playing tonight. It's going to be a tough game, whatever. It's a semi-final of the Europa Cup. We've got a 3-1 lead. And in all seriousness, of course, it's a tough game. Of course, we can bottle it. But, it's in our hands, really. It's ours to lose. It's, they're going to throw everything at us. They've got to do. And you'd expect no less from them. Yes, they scored a goal. Away goals don't count anymore. It just keeps them in the match. But look, we've got to lose by more than 3-1, basically. That's the score. It's either going to be 4-1, it's got to be 3-0. So if we can't go there and at least score one goal, which will make it, it'll make it hard for them. It's already hard for them. Then we don't deserve to be in the final. And look, there is a lot of nervous Spurs fans out there, and it's understandable. We've thrown away this type of opportunity so many times. But I don't know what it is. Going into a lot of matches, I am generally pretty nervous in a sense of not knowing what to. But I don't know. I could be absolutely delusional and get absolutely shot down by the end of tonight. But I just think it's on. I just think we are going to Bilbao and our name's going to be on the cup this year. It's so Spursy for us to do it. An absolute shit season, an absolute nightmare of a season, and we go win the European Cup. What is less Spursy than that? That just sums this club up. Everybody wants the manager out. Everybody wants the owners out. Everybody wants half the team gone. And then we go win a European Cup. You just can't write it. You just couldn't write it.
look, despite your guys' confidence, I'm not going to lie, I am nervous. You know, I look at the artificial pitch, which we're going to get onto in a couple of minutes. You know, I also look at the Zagreb away, what happened when we went out with a 2 lead there, which we're going to get onto a bit later on as well. And it's just, I've almost been waiting for that massive embarrassment this season in Europe, because they have come in seasons gone by. But then, Dermot, I'm going to ask you, am I maybe guilty of building this away trip up into a bigger fear than what it actually really is?
I think you have right to fear how you feel, because our away form in recent times hasn't been great. And you mentioned Zagreb, you've mentioned other times, you've mentioned Tamworth. So look, you're right to point out to me and Soren, look, you guys, this is the evidence I have for how I'm feeling. But I think you should turn that into a positive, that third time lucky. Tonight we can turn up and absolutely play a blinder. These are a totally different group of players to what we had out in Zagreb. Totally different manager. Okay, Tamworth wasn't pretty, but didn't we win on the day, though? Didn't we get through? It wasn't pretty, but we won on the day. I think 2-0 or 3-0, I think, on the day. And I think tonight's going to be the same. We've got a group of players that are around this manager that are determined to win this cup for him. And that's the difference. Zagreb, you have players there for one another. There is players in this group that all there is one brotherhood behind each other. As much as there's division within the fan base, as much as there's division with Angie and Amjad, Levy and Levy out, the players and the squad core of players are all fighting for one cause, and that's to win a trophy for Ange Postecoglou and for us fans. And I think that's the difference. But you're right to say what you say, Dave. You're right to point out these points. And I think you should not be so nervous. I think you should be confident we're going to win this. But you're right to be nervous. What am I trying to say? You can have good nervousness as well, if excited nervousness. Do you think that's what you're feeling then? Nervous. You're more excited.
No,
nervous.
Look, don't get me wrong. I'm excited, right? We go in there with a 3-1 lead, right? You know, destiny and fate, you would argue, is in our own hands. But I just look at some of the defeats away in Europe in years gone by, and that's what makes me a little bit nervous. We're yet to suffer one of them this season. You know, you go back to NS Moore, we walked in there thinking we were going to slap them up. We got bet. We went into Vitesse Arnhem thinking we're going to beat them up. We didn't. You know, we went out to Patras de Ferreira out in Portugal. We struggled. We didn't beat them away from home. Dynamo Zagreb went out there with 2-0 lead and their manager was in prison, and we still got turned over. And we had Harry Kane and Son in their prime. You know, and that's just what makes me nervous. Spurs is away history. But then I look at the Frankfurt game, and look, no one gave us a hope in hell going out there. I didn't either. You know, but they got the job done. They did show that bit of camaraderie. And look, one of my things was I find it very difficult for them just to be able to turn it on in a cup game and then turn it off for a Premier League game. But they seem to be able to do it. And they have proven me, you know, that they can get the job done. That's what gives me hope going in tonight. But I am just nervous because I do know the football club that I support.
Yeah, we all do. We all know the football club we support. We all know they can do that. But I just think tonight our name's on the cup. I'm with Soren. I think you and me, Soren, are the most delusionless fans on here.
Yeah, why not?
I don't care, because we believe that we can do it tonight. The name's on the cup. If we go to the final tonight, this would be the first UEFA Cup final we've got to since 1984. I know we got to a Champions League final 2019, but this is the first time we've got to a Europa League final since 84. And we won that final with a second-rate team. We had no Glenn Hoddle that night playing, no Steve Perriman, and we won that. We had no chance. Nobody gave us a hope in hell of winning that in 84. And we did win that.
No, I mean, look, everybody has a different mindset, and I get it. And I appreciate everybody's opinions are different. But I don't understand the thought process of going into a match thinking we're going to lose just so you can be right to say at the end of it, I told you we were going to lose.
I can't think like that.
I'd rather be proved wrong and be delusional and think we're going to win it. We're going to win it because, you feel shit afterwards if you don't. And you know, we all feel just as bad, but I'd rather be positive going into it and negative coming out of it than going into it negative just to be proved right.
But the problem is, though, I think also there is history will show we have not turned up for certain games. We have not turned up for Zagreb. We didn't turn up for Tamworth. We didn't turn up for NS Mora. So you can understand. Hang on, you can understand people being nervous because history will show you we haven't turned up for them games and we've messed them up. But on the other hand,
the thing is with that, I mean, it's all right going on about all these European games that we've played in the past, but we've never actually put all that eggs into that basket before. Not for a long time.
True.
Fair.
These last few seasons, it's always been a priority for the league, and we've maybe played a strong team, but it's never necessarily been our full first team or as close to it as what we can. Thinking this is all we've got left this season. That's the difference now. That this is all we've got left this season.
And there's a determination to win that, to prove that we can win it. And there's a determination to say look, we're behind the manager. We're going to prove to everyone, we're going to prove to the fans, we can do this as a group of players. So I think that there is that determination as well on top of that.
Look, I mean, people say, Spurs fans are nervous. I don't care who you are. If you're a Bodo fan, yes, you've come back so many times. But you can't come back every single time now. They are 3-1 down in a semi-final. Where would you rather be, 3-1 up or 3-1 down?
Oh, that's where
how good you are at home. I would rather be 3-1 up.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Weirdly, I'd probably be more confident if we were chasing the game. I know that sounds mad, but I would probably be more confident if we were actually going out there chasing the game than holding on to a game.
I don't think I would. If we were 3-1 down and we were going there, I would be sat here bricking it. I really would. And I would think to myself, do you know what? I don't see us actually winning if we're 3-1 down because it only takes them to score one goal. And knowing us, they will score one goal. But the way I look at it is we're going over there with a 3-1 lead. Yes, they've scored a goal, and a lot of us are saying 3-0 would have been. They do not see us not scoring tonight. I really believe. I mean, we might not actually win the game tonight, but we will go through. And I do not for 1 minute see us not scoring a goal tonight.
I think that's absolutely pivotal. I think we do have to score the goal. Ideally, I'd like to score the first goal tonight. I think
I think we will.
Nail in the coffin, but. What does make me nervous, coming into the game in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we'll get Donovan in there, and then we've got Paul in the back end as well, bring him in, is that they said they would be comfortable with a 2-goal deficit. They fancy themselves turning it over out there, and all the stats suggest that they do have the capabilities of doing it, and that's what makes me a little bit nervous. But to your point, we've never put all of our eggs into one cup competition, to Dermot's point, there seems to be a lot of collectiveness together on this European run with the players, with the manager and stuff like that. They all seem to be on the same page, fighting for the same thing. So, hopefully that will work in our favor. But look, let's find out how Donovan's feeling. We're also going to bring in Paul, find out how he's feeling. Then I want to bring one or two things in off Twitter. I want to bring up the fireworks that they let off outside the hotel yesterday. And then also Tottenham's nice touch of giving all the away fans a scarf there at the game today. And then I want to go in and talk about the artificial pitch after that. So Donovan, how are you feeling heading into today's game? Do you sit on my side of the fence? Are you nervous? One of Tottenham's biggest game in 6 years, you would argue, last time we were in this situation. Or are you sitting on the boys' side of the fence where it's just like nothing to be nervous about, we're going through?
What do I say? Do I sit here on top of the mountain, or do I sit on a fence with splinters up my arse? Eh? No. Paul, good to see you. I think you said something earlier today that I want to touch on, how you think we as a club need to play from behind, which ironically, when you have that pressure and a forced hand, you do get your best football from this set of players. But the point of the game is to win the game, right? The point of the game is to win the match, right? So you want to be that team that has advantage going into it. I touched up in the back end. Paul, you weren't here for this, but Arsenal and the wrong side of London now and the rest of the world are going to be watching. And not only is this a pressure-filled game for the club, but like the rest of the world too. Like, people are starting to realize how good this Tottenham Hotspur team is, and if we can turn it on and off like a switch, we have a really strong team. So many people in my life that are football fans talk about how good that backline is. Like Porro, Van de Ven, Romero, the dynamic duo between them, how one's fast, one's aggressive. It's a classic stopper sweeper that was in the early 2000s, right? And then you have Destiny Udogie, who took one look at Jed Spence trying to take his starting position and said, "No, that's me. That's mine." And he raised his game. And so I'm gonna miss Madison. We're all gonna miss Madison tonight. I'm gonna miss Bergvall, but that's why you've built yourself a solid base. That's why we don't want to play from behind, because you can't create enough without Madison, unfortunately. So Basuma, you know what? 2 more games left in Tottenham jersey. This in the final. So, play the Basuma. We know you can. Yeah, up front. We've already won the game. We do need a goal from somewhere today, though. Hopefully that comes from a set piece. Hopefully that comes from a moment of panic at the back. But as for this team coming back constantly, I mean, it's a war. It's a military. They're military men. They have a military guy who comes in and sets their mind right and does the meditation and does things he brought in from the military to the football side of the game. So we just have to match that intensity. We just have to match that drive and match that passion and show them that, hey, you know what? If you're gonna fight, we're gonna fight too. And there has to be a winner and there's a loser in every war. And we're the bigger eight. We're the bigger guns. We have the bigger guns. We're Tottenham bloody Hotspur of London, man. We have nothing to worry about. So go in there, play, make Bill Nick proud, and aim so high that even failure has an echo of glory.
Look, you did touch on their mindset, and since that Norwegian fighter pilot's come in, he's really changed the course of the football club and the direction it's gone in. They won 4 out of 5 Danish leagues. They won a couple of cups, and they've beaten some great teams over there at their place across Europe in years gone by. And basically his whole thing, we spoke about it last week, and we said, it's something that Tottenham should be doing, is like his whole thing isn't, you don't talk about winning, you don't talk about losing, you don't talk about how many points, etc. You focus on your performance, and if your performance is right, everything else will follow. And it seems to be a mindset that really works on them. And that's why I think they would have the ability to be able to handle that pressure to a large degree. And almost to a large degree, no one's really expecting them to turn us over tonight. Everyone is expecting Tottenham Hotspur to go through to a large degree. So they've got nothing to lose. And I would argue that goal that they scored at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was a warning shot. It's like, look, we're not going down without a fight, which tells me we have to show a different side of our game tonight. We might have to learn to mix it up, get it stuck into them, show a bit of fight, show a bit of grit, show some, some game management, pull players down. Let's get 11 men behind the ball, reset our shape and stuff like that. We're going to have to see a different side to this Tottenham team that maybe we haven't seen so far. And it's just a big question whether they have it in them or not. But let's wait and find out. But down to you, Paul. Let's find out how you're feeling. And then I want to bring in a couple of things that I've seen on Twitter today.
I'm all good for tonight, to be fair. I just think...
You're of the opinion it's only Bodo, right?
It's not only... I'm not that. It's just looking at our European performance over the whole season. We've been disciplined. We've been a lot better than we have been in the Premier League. And we've never failed to score apart from 1 game in 12. So I can't see us going out there today and not scoring. That's what makes me not so worried, because I do believe we will score. And that means they need to score at least 2 more than us. And that's what I can't see happening, in my honest opinion.
Fair. Look, I hope you're absolutely right. If you are, I'll probably worship the ground you walk on for a week or two, because I'm not going to lie, I really, really am nervous. I really am. But the big
Can I just add, Dave?
Yeah, we're clear.
Right. I'm just going to say, I mean, I've said it before. I have the same feeling I had back in '84 when we won the UEFA Cup. And I've got the same feeling now as I did then. And I just think, only 4 men have taken us to a European final. Bill Nick, Keith Birkinshaw, Pochettino, and now Ange. Only 2 men have ever won a European competition. It will be 3, because Ange will join that little band of group. This is our competition to win, and this is our competition. We're going all the way. We're going to win. And I've had the same feeling when I was 7 back in '84. We're going to win that competition. I've got the same feeling now. I'm 48. We're going to win this competition. I didn't think we'll win the Champions League, but tonight now, I am so confident we're going to win this competition. I don't care who we play in the final.
As well, Dave, you just sort of said something within the last few minutes, and I've heard it so many times within the last few days from Spurs fans of, oh, Bodo have won the Norwegian League 4 out of the last 5, blah, blah, blah. Well, hang on a minute. Isn't that a Mickey Mouse league? Like same as when Postecoglou won with Celtic and Japan. They're all Mickey Mouse leagues. So unless you've won the Premiership, and this isn't me, this is having a chat to all those people that keep telling us how great this team is because they've won the Norwegian League. Well, according to a lot of the fans, all the other leagues apart from the top 5, you don't count what they've done because it's Mickey Mouse. So
do you know what on that? And this is where I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, right? I remember when we were playing Karabag, and I was actually on the opposite to maybe I think Dermo on that. People were worried about Karabag and giving me all the league titles they want. I was like, look, it's only fucking Karabag. We're going to beat them. But I think the fact that these guys, they've got less resources than most other clubs around Europe that they've been competing with this year. And the fact that they've maximized and managed to get to this point and turning over big teams. Sometimes if you've just got a well-drilled team that are all fighting for the one thing, are willing to work hard and sacrifice, that can beat talent if talent isn't willing to work hard. And that's where my question mark comes in. At Tottenham, we have talent. But a lot of times, and most times this season, they haven't want to put that work ethic in. They haven't want to sacrifice. And I've seen this script time and time again. When you've got a team like that, they can turn you over if you're not willing to work hard. And then you take into account going over there, playing on the AstroTurf pitch, which we're going to touch on shortly, much smaller changing rooms. You're not getting the home comforts that you're used to having and stuff like that. It can take an effect on these multimillionaires that are coming out there tonight. And that's where my big, worry comes in. It's like when I went out to NS Moore and stuff like that. All these things play an effect. It just makes you uncomfortable before you step out there. And then all of a sudden you get surprised by how quick the game is on the artificial surface. You take 20, 25 minutes to get going. They play on it week in, week out. They train on it day in, day out. They'll probably have 3 or 4 chances by the time you even get, realize you're in a game and realize how to try and navigate and stuff like that. It can all play an effect heading into today's game. And like I said, that's what makes me a little bit nervous. However, if Tottenham are willing to go out there tonight and they're willing to sacrifice, because that's what tonight's going to take. Players that are willing to sacrifice. If you're tired, you don't care. You fucking push through. You make that extra run to get that block in. You get out there, you hit someone, you take yellow cards if you need to and stuff like that. Are we willing to sacrifice? We're willing to go through the pain barrier tonight. I'm yet to see that from this Tottenham team. So that's what makes me nervous. I'll know within the first 5-10 minutes what sort of game we're in for. So let's wait and see. But big up the Big D's, gifted out channel membership, and that's gone to Dillinger, and Dillinger said thank you as well, and he says to everybody, make sure you smash that like. Big up Dillinger, big up Eugene, good to see you, my man. And then we also have Faz Radfar in the house. Stay calm, no silly mistakes. We will win with a big margin. We make a lot of silly mistakes though. A lot of the goals we give up are from silly errors. That's the problem, corner kicks that come into the box, we head them out across into the danger zone instead of away from the danger zone. Sometimes we take stupid risk in deeper positions, thinking we can play through everything, when sometimes it's better just to go a little bit longer and try and get a throw in or a free kick in their half and play from there and stuff like that. We make a lot of silly errors. Players like Basuma stepping in there tonight, which we're going to have a conversation about. He's prone to errors, stuff like that. So let's wait and see. Look, usually I come into these games arrogant. I just can't tonight. I just see warning bells ringing around in my head and it concerns me. But I do want to bring in just a couple of things from Twitter. Just bear with me. I think the club have done an absolute nice touch here tonight in terms of laying on scarves here. Can everybody see that? Yeah. I think the club has done a beautiful touch here, laying on scarves for all the away supporters that have gone out there. Now, of course, it's not really going to cost them too much in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's nice to recognize the fans that have gone out there and also, hopefully, help to the atmosphere. There's only going to be 400 of them tonight in a 30-odd thousand seater stadium. Oh, no, sorry, it's not. It's an 8,000-seater stadium. What am I talking about? There's only going to be like 400 Spurs fans, but at least if they can stand there, wave the flags around and stuff like that, and let the players know they're there, that, you're not the only ones out here. We're here. I think it's a classy touch by Tottenham Hotspur there. Anyone want to comment on that? And then I want to bring up one thing that Bodo Glimt fans seem to have done last night that deserved me a little.
I think that's a lovely touch by the club, by the way. I think that's a nice touch and a rally, and it shows the club for once doing something PR rightly, actually. Usually they stick the right foot into PR stuff. I think tonight, lay that on, and that'll keep them warm out there as well. And I think, well done, Tottenham Hotspur. Whoever come up with that idea, fair play to you.
No.
That PR thing never get. Sorry, go on.
It's one of those where you hope. I think the club have done it twofold. One, as a respect to those fans that have gone out there, but two, to give them a little bit extra to shout about. To get in there, there's a scarf there. They're already feeling good. I mean, the only one that might not have it is Henry, but I think they've found him now, haven't they? So Henry's turned up. But yeah, well, Sean might not be there. He might be off with his little Bodo princess. So, so that's a couple of scarves that won't be getting used. But no, I think it's a great thing. But can I just clear one thing up with a few people in the chat? It wasn't me saying that the Norwegian league is a Mickey Mouse league. I was pointing out how fans have been saying any other league other than the top five is a Mickey Mouse league. So I'm not trying to disrespect them. I'm just pointing out a few things that is contradiction. You know, when one person says, "Oh, it's a Mickey Mouse league," but then it's not a Mickey Mouse league when it's something else. So yeah, if anybody's taking offense to that, then I apologize. I didn't mean it as I was thinking it was a Mickey Mouse team.
No. Look, I understand what you're saying. You're right in what you are saying. You know, when it comes to Ange, they do say that. You're absolutely spot on. And then I also wanted to show everybody this. You know, this is the fireworks that they let off outside the Tottenham hotel last night. Gone absolutely crazy with it, trying to disrupt our stadium and all of that.
Do you know what? I've been at the videoing that thing. What a nice firework display.
What do you think of the mind games, lads?
I wonder. I mean, I don't know, but do these players maybe go away and have not headphones, but earplugs or out like that in? Because to me, I wonder whether that makes any difference whatsoever, really.
Well, it can go one of two ways. You can either use it as a motivator, right? And you go, all right, we'll show these guys tonight. We'll go out there and slap them off the park. Or it just adds to the discomfort, right? You're being woken up, your rhythm's being disturbed and stuff like that. And it gets to the point where before you even touch the pitch, you're just like, just get me out of here. You know, it can go one of two ways. That's the problem with it. I don't know what way this Tottenham team's going to take it.
It's been done before, though, hasn't it, Dave? Over the years, we've always seen this. Over the years, Italian fans were legendary for letting off fireworks outside hotel rooms, and there was also a little. I remember the great Liverpool side, right, when they went to Rome to win it in Rome, and they did all the fireworks, they did everything to put Liverpool players off. They're in the tunnel, and Graham Souness started singing, and then the whole team started singing. And the Roma players are looking at them thinking, what the hell's up with these lads? It just proved to them you can do what you want to us. It's not going to bother us. You're not going to intimidate us. We're coming here and we're going to roll you over. And that's the attitude I want them Tottenham players to take into this game tonight. And I just think you could use it. You use it as a motivator. Right, lads, you're going to try to upset us. Sod you lot. We're going in there and we're going to roll you over. So I use it as a motivation. And I always go back to that Liverpool thing that they started singing and the Roma team were looking at them thinking, what the fuck's up with these guys like? And so they use it as a motivating. So the Tottenham players in that hotel, she use it as a motivational, tool for them to say, right, you want to do that, we're going to run you over. And I think they should do so. That's what I think to it. But it's great crack. It's all part of the mind games, isn't it?
If you're going to do something to upset the team, you do it more than a little firework display.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, the intimidating one is, I think we saw Liverpool do it a few years ago. And then, like you say, Roma and Galatasaray, where the bus is coming down and they stop the bus and they're banging on the bus. That's the sort of intimidation that might get into your heads. A few fireworks outside your room, it's not going to make that big a difference. I mean, if it does, then they're pretty poor professional footballers because, look, I mean, it's only like being laid in bed and all of a sudden there's a bang outside, you wake up and then you go back to bed and you don't even remember it next day. So, to me, it's enough.
Fair. I just thought it was interesting. Again, they're just trying to unsettle us out there, and then that's their plan. You listen to what they've been saying in the pre-match press conference and stuff like that. They really are confident. They really think they're going to be able to unsettle us and do us here tonight. Their mindset is very interesting heading into this. Sorry, Donovan, did you have something you wanted to say on that as well?
On mute, Donovan. You're muted.
No, can't hear you, lad. He's going to log out, log back in. We'll take this from Sonam. Big up, son. I really appreciate the support, buddy. He says, if you see a random Asian guy in a Spurs jersey in New Jersey, that's me. Come on, you Spurs. 12 of us here. We come Bilbao. Sorry, but I'm confident and I'll take my chances. So you're about to Bilbao then, son. You've already got your tickets booked, I take it, by the sound of this. And look, hopefully all 12 of you have an absolute brilliant night. Honestly, if we win tonight, it's just going to be so much vibing out, so many smiles, tears, and joy. And to be honest with you, I think we're a fucking fan base that needs it with the pain and hurt that we put up since Pochettino. There's going to be so much release of emotion, and I'm all here for it, my man. And I'll be surprised if that jersey stays on you and it's not round your head at full time. Big up, son. I really appreciate the support, buddy. I think Donovan's back now. Big up, Donovan. Can we hear you? No, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you, lad. While Donovan's working that out, we'll kick on and then. But big up, son. I'm out in New Jersey. Nice spot.
Hey, just to jump back in with the fireworks, do you not think that that's them being more worried in the sense that they feel that they've got to do all these little tricks to try and get in our head because they're more worried about us?
Oh, look, they're certainly worried. Like, their focus is on us, right? It's clear that they want to destabilize us and stuff like that. But I'll make the argument, heading into the first leg. Let's not forget, as much as we were licking our lips getting these guys, they were also licking their lips getting us, knowing our history in Europe down the last few years. And I think the narrative is out there that if you can destabilize Tottenham and upset them, you will then be able to finish the job on the football pitch. Look, again, this is all these hurdles that we have to overcome, right? Ange Postecoglou keeps talking about it, whether people like the guy or not. He keeps talking about the disrespect for us, the latest one. Wenger coming out and saying, if we win it, we shouldn't get a chance in the chat. We shouldn't get a spot in the Champions League. I mean, it wasn't so long ago. Arsenal were playing Chelsea out in the back ass of nowhere in Europe, trying to win this trophy and stuff like that. But this is the disrespect that comes to this football club. This is all the hurdles that we have to overcome. And it's nights like tonight that if we can go out there and not just scrape through, not just get through by the skin of our teeth, but actually go out there, play them off the park to a certain degree, actually go out there and win the game. I think you slowly start to turn that narrative then moving forward. But it's up to us to turn it. Let's see how we can get on with it tonight. But I do want to move on. I do want to have a conversation around the artificial pitch that we're going to be facing tonight, because Bodo Glimt centre-back Odin Bjortoft reckons that Bodo Glimt's plastic pitch can derail Tottenham's dream. He said, there's no doubt it is an advantage for us. I don't think a lot of teams are prepared for what's coming. I think it's a combination of things. The ball goes really fast when you play passes, and it's more difficult for defenders reaching attackers and getting in contact with them. So, that's basically, he goes on to say then that's what we benefit from in these games. So Bodo have won 6 of their 7 home games in the competition. They train on that pitch daily, and some Spurs, stars as we like to call them, may still be scarred by their previous experience on an artificial surface when we needed extra time to beat non-league Tamworth in the FA Cup. There's been a lot of noise around this artificial pitch in Bodo. They do use it to good effect, and to their benefit. And it is unfamiliar territory for Tottenham Hotspur. Let's not forget that. We train on grass, we play on grass. Some say the artificial pitch today could actually be a great equalizer. It's a complete different pitch. The bounce of the ball is different. Postecoglou spoke about it in the pre-match build-up and stuff. So how much of a factor is the artificial pitch today, really? Should Spurs be genuinely worried, or is this just a pre-match narrative hype?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. I don't know what the heck that was. I panicked for a second. That's actually a good thing you touched on, because that's what I touched about the fireworks, is that these guys come out in the media now and are starting to flap their mouths about this. And one of this thing is the turf. That's not the one I was going to touch on, but since we're talking about the turf, people are forgetting that when we were building whatever you want to call Hotspur Way, that we had to play on an artificial turf in an indoor facility while we're under Under Armour there. That was during the Kyle Walker days, Lewis Holtby. There was a nice indoor facility, and they did a lot of shooting videos of back in the day of Lamella and stuff doing his little Rabona after he scored that Europa League goal on that turf. So we have artificial turf at Hotspur Way, and you can be sure that Postecoglou since he knew Bodo Glimt were there, have been at least doing 1 or 2 sessions a week on that turf. So there's turf at Hotspur Way. Secondly, we did not cover ourselves in glory at Tamworth at all. And so that Bodo Glimt are coming in expecting us to falter on that turf. So it's up to the Tottenham Hotspur players now to use that mentality to rise above, because they're professional athletes. You said it yourself. They're millionaires going up north in the Arctic Circle. At some point in their professional career, they have had to be played on artificial turf. You could argue maybe some of the players that come from Latin America, but still they have community turf pitches in a lot of these communities. So I don't care what football you play, football, beach football, you can kick a ball, you can chop a ball, you can play the game. 7-a-side, 5-a-side, 11-a-side. The game's a game. Trap, control, pass, use your teammates, and get that early goal, man. Don't even complain about the turf. A bad carpenter blames his tools, but that's my opinion.
No, look, I understand what you're saying, but I do think, we do have to recognize it is a complete different game altogether. The ball travels a hell of a lot quicker. It is harder for players to turn, because when you're turning on grass with your studs, the turf goes with you. When you're going to turn on Astro, it's a lot different. You can't turn as quick on the Astro turf. You'll end up destroying your ankle and stuff like that. It's a complete different game. Every ball bounces differently on every different Astro as well. It is a complete different game. Now, I do take your point. They do have Astros at Hotspur away. They did train on this Astro yesterday when they flew out there. But the reality is we usually train on grass pitches because we play on grass pitches. So anything that we've done on an artificial surface, again, it's going to be the bare minimum we can say. It's not going to play a part in today's game, but it did play a part against Tamworth. Now, I know Paul's rebuttal is going to be that we did play to a large degree some of our fringe players and stuff like that, but the reality is they still should have been. If that was on a grass pitch, that team would have mocked Tamworth, but because it was on an artificial pitch and they're used to training and playing on it, it is a complete different game. We have to take that into account. Where does everyone else stand on it?
Dave, can I butt in on that?
Yeah, work away.
Sorry.
Right. So you basically against Tamworth, we had 3 of our starters: Madison, Porro, and Johnson, effectively. Right. And he made no substitutions until the 90th minute. The minute he put those substitutions on in extra time, we put 3 past them. So to me, that's the difference. You bring on our players that we're actually going to play tonight against what we put out against Tamworth, you'll see a big difference. These are professionals. They're used to playing on different pitches. They're used to doing different things. So, yeah, I don't see the worry.
Here's where the worry comes in, Paul. On AstroTurf, slide in at your peril. Means your positioning's got to be perfect. If players are getting away from you, you can't make that slide tackle to make that last-ditch tackle that we rely on so many times from our midfielders and our backline. You can't do that on an artificial pitch. You'll end up ripping your leg open, which means your positioning has to be brilliant. It has to be absolutely spot on. If a player gets by you, it's very hard to get back at them because they're gone on the AstroTurf. That will make a massive difference. If they get in behind our back line, we think we can rely on Van de Ven. How many times have we seen him sliding in to make that last-ditch tackle? It's not going to happen on an artificial pitch tonight.
I get that, but in the same sense, we had our back line against Tamworth was Regulon, Gray, Dragerson, and Porro, and Kinski in goal. This time, we're going to have Vicario, Romero, Van de Ven, Udogi, and Porro on the right-hand side. It's our favoured back line. Is that going to happen? Hopefully not. But, it's, to me, that's our solid back line, and that's what we play whenever we get the chance. And whenever they're playing, we always seem to play better.
Just as a quick question, how many on the panel think Bodo are as good as Liverpool?
No, I don't.
So how many teams have put more than 3 goals past us this season?
Liverpool.
Exactly. So if Bodo aren't as good as Liverpool, why do we all think we're going to lose by more than 3 goals and not go through tonight? Logical question is, yes, the artificial pitch makes a damn difference. We went to Tamworth. People in the chat are saying about Tamworth. We didn't lose at Tamworth. Yeah, we didn't win, but we don't need to win tonight. We just don't need to lose by more than 2 or 3 goals. So if we go there and it's 1-1 or 2-1 or 2-1, we've still gone through. So yes, the artificial pitch makes a difference. Yes, they're going to score. Yes, hopefully we're going to score. They are not Liverpool. If we do, it doesn't matter what happens tonight. If we do not win tonight, we do not deserve to go through anyway. So that's the argument over that. It's in our hands. We can, if we score 1 goal, they've got to score 4 to win it. They're not. If they score 4 past us, then we don't deserve to be in that final anyway.
I think there's a right to be concerned. I think, look, I get where Dave's coming from, that this is a different turf than what it was used at Tamworth. It is a different type of playing football. The ball is a bit more zippier. You do have to get your tackles right, and I get that, and I think that's right to point that out. And I think you have to play different on AstroTurf. We in the European play on normal grass. I think in the Norwegian league and the Danish league, they play mostly on AstroTurf from right, so they're used to it. They're more used to the zip of the ball and that. And you have to get your tackles right. Anyone that's played in AstroTurf, you put a tackle in, your leg's ripped open, which I have done when I was younger. I'm sure everyone here has played in AstroTurf, so we know what it's like. But where I think it'll come to at the end of the day is quality. And I think we have the quality to beat this team tonight. And I think we'll have enough to get over the handicap of playing on an AstroTurf and win the game tonight. But Dave is right to point out again, he's playing it every day of the week. They train in it every day of the week. We've only had 24 hours training on this new AstroTurf. So it's down to the Tottenham players' mentality to get used to it quickly. These are supposed to be professionals, to get used to it, get their head into the game and get on with it. And then stop using it as an excuse. Just get on. You're playing football. Football's played in all different services. Just play the game and get on with it and win. But I do take your point, Dave, that Bodo do have a slight advantage because they're used to playing on this. But Tottenham players shouldn't use that as an excuse of, it's AstroTurf. Do you know what I mean? But you're right.
Sometimes it's not an excuse. Sometimes it's just that the pitch can make a massive difference. That doesn't necessarily mean it's an excuse. Like, we rely heavily with our high line and stuff like that. We rely heavily on getting back, making these slide tackles, balls coming in the box, sliding in to cut it out. You're not going to do that on an AstroTurf. No, you're just not. And that makes defending so much harder. It means your players' positioning have to be absolutely spot on in terms of attacking. When you're playing that ball, if you're trying to play it in behind and stuff, it's not to a player's feet. That ball is just sliding on. And before you know it, you're going to see misplaced balls everywhere, balls going out playing, stuff like that. All of a sudden, you're 20 minutes in. The opposition are just coming at you because they know how to play on it. You're struggling to adapt to the game. And all of a sudden, that's how a game turns very, very quickly on a surface like that. So it's not an excuse. It is a massive factor. Many teams have already gone out there and suffered. They've won 6 of their 7 European home games this season.
We play like that every week. Misplaced passes and balls going out. So what difference does it make? We've trained for this whole season.
True.
But they've also lost. But they lost against AZ Alkmaar.
Lost against Crystal Palace.
Would the footwear be different, Dave? On AstroTurf,
we can name all these teams. I mean,
well, they tell you not to wear studs. They tell you to wear blades because studs get caught in the surface.
But, I mean, we name all these teams that have won, Dave. How many of those teams, because I don't know, and this is a genuine question, did all those teams play their first full squad when they went out there? Were they all on top form? Was the weather the same? There's a lot of variables. Maybe they don't train on plastic. Maybe we have. Maybe, there are a lot of ifs and buts. But let's not forget, this is a semi-final, second leg of the Europa Cup. They're going to be nervous because they know if they concede a goal, it could be game over. So 100%. It's not just us that have got something to lose. They're all there shouting how they're going to win us, and our pressing was terrible and they could get through. They're going to look like absolute monkeys if we go out there and win tonight, because there's no excuses. And look, another one that we've been hearing all week is, they had 2 or 3 of their top players out. We've had 7 or 8 of our top players out all season. There was no excuses there from some of our fans telling us it's not an excuse to have injuries. So it was no excuse for them. We will go there tonight and we will be victorious.
Look, I
Totally agree,
really hope so. I really hope so. Look, at the end of the day, for me, if we turn up and we're willing to suffer and work hard and go through the, into realms that we haven't before, because there are going to be periods of that game where we're going to be under it. If they can sacrifice and suffer through that, I think we will get through. It's just, if they don't, I think then it's going to be a long, long evening. But I do, that naturally brings us on to then how we maybe approach this sort of game. Because, look, to be fair to Bodo, they've scored the most goals at home than any other European side this season. They've scored 19 at home. They've got a danger man called Kasper Hoeg. He's their top scorer in the Europa League. 6 of his 7 goals this season have all come at home. It shows he turns up at home as well. So my big thing is how do we approach it? Knowing the stats, knowing how good they are at home and stuff, how do we approach this game tactically tonight? Do we stick with the high press and the possession style that worked in the first leg? Or should we be more cautious and play on the counter? And the reason why I ask that, because I think this has to be factored in, is because out in Zagreb, we played a counter-attacking game. Out in Patras de Ferreira, we played a counter-attacking game. NS Mora and Vitesse, again, counter-attacking games under Jose, Nuno, and Conte. All away losses where we played a more conservative game under previous managers. Does that history make you nervous about sitting back too much tonight? So, based off that history away from home with that sort of counter-attacking style, should we actually stick to our tactics tonight heading into it? Anyone?
I think we've got to play.
Just gonna grab a drink.
I think we've got to play a little bit cautious. I think he'll probably try and pack the midfield. I think at the end of the day, we'll be going to try and be as tight as possible with the hope of scoring 1 or 2 goals. I don't think we're going out there expecting to have a lot of the ball, and play a high possession game. I think we're going out there to be as tight as possible, probably hit them on the break, and we know they're going to come out after us. So, I think we'll play a bit like we have, when we played against City and things like that. We'll try and be tight, and we'll score on the break, and I think we will score. And I think it is going to be a long night. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's not going to be an absolutely brilliant tactical genius type game, where it's an absolute beautiful watch. I think it's going to be scrappy. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be nerve-wracking for a lot of people. But like I say, I don't see them winning by 3 clear goals. I just don't. Yeah, I mean, that's perfect from Danny. Look, we've got to go out there, and we've got to believe. I think they might score the first goal. I think we could score the first. Well, obviously, it's an obvious.
We've got to score the first goal tonight.
Well, we do, but the thing is, if they do score the first goal, we've got to make sure we score the second. So, we've got to keep sort of putting out the fire. And look, our 400 fans against their 7,500, whatever, we know how loud them Spurs fans can be away from home. We know how great a support they give. They will be absolutely up for it. And they're going to have to sing their heads off because it's going to be cold out there. So they've got to warm themselves up somehow. So I just think it's going to be one of those memorable. I think it's going to be another Ajax. I think we went there, we were out of the game. And we had a hero come on and score 3 goals for us. I think it could be something like that, where a lot of fans thinking we might be going out, and all of a sudden there's a miracle, or there's going to be something that
the 3-1 up. But no, I think it's going to be like that Barcelona when we get through in the group stage, and there's that small little cluster of fans at the very top, and they're cheering, they're picking heads off, and we get through, and there's people running because we're on our way to Bilbao. Spurs are on their way to Bilbao, man.
Yeah.
I think I would go with the way we played against Frankfurt.
Yeah.
I would go with that. In the second leg. I think if we went, I think we need to play like that tonight, because it was effective. It shut them down. We got the goal, and we shut up shop, and we did shut up shop. And we did a job out there. I think Ange's got to do 3 at the back, 3-5-2. Go with that tonight. And I think, especially for playing on the 3-5-2.
You want the formation we played at Everton? We're 3-0 down at half time.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
No.
We were 3-0 down at half time. That's why.
Not 3.
No,
Not 3.
I think we need to do
Sorry.
a 4-2-3-1
Yeah, that's what I was
formation.
trying to say. Sorry, I saw the shock on your face. Sorry,
Jesus
Dave. I didn't mean
Christ,
to.
That was a
Damn, are you
classic.
killing us?
nearly offended me there.
No, you know what I mean. I think the way we played against Frankfurt. I mean, at one point, did we have 5 at the back at one point at Frankfurt?
Yeah, when he brought him on near the end to see out the game.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like a 5, whatever it is. Not the way we played Everton. Sorry, I mean if you have to go 5 at the back, do go 5 at the back. But do you know what I mean? I think do what we did against Frankfurt, and that will win us the game.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I don't want to see anything clever from Postecoglou tonight. I don't want him to go 3 at the back in fear of the artificial surface. We don't train on it. We don't train in that formation, all season long. We train in the formation that we've been playing. That's why he stuck to it for large parts of this season. And for me, I think we should try and I don't think we should sit off these. What I don't want to see is 11 men deep sitting off them, allowing them to swing balls into the box, left, right, and centre. For me, what we need to do is we need to get the front men to go and press their back line like we've done at home and force them to go long. Because if we force them to go long, we're disrupting what they actually really want to do, which is try to play football. But B, Romero and Van de Ven will turn that over all night long. It's when the crosses start coming into the box where we really struggle to defend them. We've seen that at large parts this season, especially when they're put in towards the back post and stuff like that. So for me, what we kind do is sit off them and just allow them to come at us wave after wave on attack. But also in possession, to Dermot's point, I want to start the way we started out with Frankfurt. There's no need to start. They're going to be absolutely buzzing off their last goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So they would probably argue that momentum's with them. I'd then also expect them to come and press us to try and force us into early mistakes while we're trying to get used to the AstroTurf. So for me, what we need to do is them defenders, they need to go longer with the ball like they've done against Frankfurt. Hit the channels, get Richarlison back out on the left, Solanke through the middle. That means you've got one whole area to hit then as an out ball. Get them to pick up free kicks, throw-ins, get pushed up and play in their half. That's what we need to do. What I don't want to see tonight is us give away an early chance or an early goal, through a mistake trying to play out from the back. Because if you do that, all that gives them then is more belief in their game plan, more belief to keep pressing. It's all about us being smart tonight. And that's why I want to see us take a bit more of a longer approach. One thing with James Maddison and Bergvall, to be fair to them, they always show for the ball off the back line. And they're very good at getting turned. We're missing them tonight. Kulusevski, Basuma, they're a bit hit and miss when they do that. They are liable to lose that ball. We can't get sucked in tonight. We have to go longer. We have to go down the channels and just get ball in their half and then play from there. I'm telling you, because if we do and they get an early goal, all of a sudden Zagreb starts coming into mind. All of a sudden the mentality of the players, their legs start shaking and buckling. They're like, oh no. And that can take you a while to recover. So we've got to start the right way tonight. We cannot afford to concede early, cannot afford any stupid early mistakes, because it will just give them more belief and more confidence. And then all of a sudden, Spurs fans start getting nervous. The bench, the manager starts getting nervous. They start acting a bit erratic. That filters out. And all of a sudden, that's where these long evenings that we've suffered in the past come in. So it's just about being smart for the first 15, 20 minutes, press them back with the forward line, and then play out long ball. Use our physical advantage. That's how we got the lead in the first leg. Put the ball in the box. They can't handle someone like Richarlison in the air. Get him on the end of it. That's the way we need to approach this today. Use what we've got to our advantage.
Solanke was back. I thought Solanke was back.
Yeah, but Richarlison started out on the left last time, didn't he? Last week.
I don't think he'll start both, surely, because if it does go beyond 90 minutes.
I said the same last week, but he did.
Well, I know, but it wasn't going to go beyond 90 minutes last time, was it? It could go extra time and penalties. So I'll be very surprised if he plays both our strikers from the beginning, unless he's going for the victory before the full time.
Yeah, but he needs to, Soren.
Well, I know he does, but I don't. I mean, look. This is going to sound really stupid, but I don't think he's that stupid. And we're going to see the team sheet, and it'll be that. But I will be very surprised tonight if Solanke and Richarlison start the game, because as much as I would like to see that, because that means we're going for it, I do think that would be suicide. I really do. But look, I've sort of stated that I think we'll
Do you
do it
not
within
think we'll
90.
be a bit lightweight up front? Because, right, just hear me out. If they do come and press us and we do try and play out from the back and it doesn't work, that's where you need to have plan B. And if you've only got that one guy down the middle, say as your outlet, that's very easy to cut out. All you got to do is put one man in front, one man in behind. All of a sudden, you block off that option, you block the surface. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at the likes of Brennan Johnson. If it's Matisse, they're not known for holding up the ball. And if we need that, especially in the first half, because you've got to remember, they are going to come at us. I think it's wise to start the two big men up front, because if you need that plan B, the option is there.
Yeah, and I get that, but I just think you've also got to have it in the back of your mind that, look, if this goes to penalties, neither one of our front two can probably last the whole match. We know Richarlison's not going to do 120 plus penalties, so you've already lost maybe one penalty taker there. Solanke, I'll be surprised if he can do 120.
But by your logic, should we be going in thinking this is going to penalties, though? You shouldn't have penalties on your mind making the team selection.
I don't think we should be, but you've still got to have it in the back of your mind, haven't you? I mean, look, I know most people think Postecoglou is absolutely clueless, and we could be, that could be proved in the next hour, but I will be absolutely surprised if. I would be absolutely surprised if we play both of those strikers from the get-go. Look, if he does,
not both strikers, Soren.
Pardon?
They're not both strikers.
Well,
Richarlison always played. He played his best on the left from Everton.
Yeah, but he plays number 9 for Brazil, so that's a striker. So look, I agree with you. But if Solanke's out, he is our backup striker. There's no denying that. So who else is going to play down the middle other than Tell? And Tell's proved he's better on the left as well. So
Dermot's played Johnson.
I put Johnson down the middle.
Yeah, maybe
he doesn't do anything on the wings, so put him down the middle.
That's with that one.
But you've also got to look at it that if by any chance it does go to penalties, who's going to take the penalties if Richarlison and Solanke have already been subbed off?
You deal with that when it comes to it, though. You got to manage the game, before that.
But you've still got to think about the fact that Richarlison cannot last 120 minutes. We know that. And Solanke, if he's just coming back from a knock, he might not last 120 minutes. So unless you are ultra confident, which, yes, I know I've stated that we will win it in 90 minutes, and I'm kind of contradicting myself, but even I'm not stupid enough to think if we don't, we've got to have that backup for penalties. We can't just go into penalties and think, right, our back five are going to take the 5 penalties because that's all that's really left on the pitch.
To be honest, I wouldn't trust Richarlison with a penalty anyway. I think he's good at getting on the end of things, but I wouldn't trust him with a penalty anyway. But do you know what? Sorry, that was Jack's logic last week. Solanke's not going to last 90 minutes. What do we do? But at the end of the day, we were 3-1 up. We sort of managed the game from there. And it sort of worked last week. And I just think today it's going to be a bit of a different game for the first 15, 20 minutes. It is going to be a lot of them putting us under pressure. And I just think having Solanke and Richarlison to manage the first 15, 20 minutes rather than think about penalties, I think is the right thing for Postecoglou to do today. Some may say that's harsh on Tell. Look what he done, at the weekend. He was head and shoulders above everyone else. But the way I look at the game, I do think they're going to come and press us. I've watched all their highlights of the games at home. They're ferocious at home. It's going to be a game, and we're not going to be able to play out from the back all the time. Against Frankfurt, we almost startled them to a certain degree. They came pressing, and all of a sudden the ball's gone long, and they're having to run back. They're like, holy shit, we didn't plan for this. And I think we should do the same tonight. But sorry, Donovan, we'll let you in, and then we'll let you go to the gym, and then I'll take a few comments from the chat.
Yeah, thanks, lads. Just by the way, thanks for having me on. I would have missed a semifinal. So I went with Tell, Solanke, and Johnson. Not out of because I'm a fanboy of Johnson or Tell, just because Tell's improved on the wing, and Johnson is our highest goal scorer. So it's crazy how that works out.
Well, Donovan, there is that argument that people would make if they are going to come at us. Like I said, there's going to be space in behind. Why wouldn't you play a Tell and a Johnson out wide?
Exactly, and Tell's hitting form right now. Every game he's growing. And on the turf, I'm sure Bavaria gets cold. I'm sure there's turf out in Germany. I'm sure he's accustomed to playing on turf.
Yeah.
Basuma, Kulusevski, and Bentancur makes up our midfield. I want a solid Basuma performance. Don't venture too far forward. Don't venture too far out. You can go forward, but don't go out to the wing, because when he goes out to the wing, that's when he doesn't have the pace to get back to the midfield and he starts panicking, doing those weird tackles.
Yeah.
And then Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, and Spence. I picked Spence over Porro because, yes, you guys brought up the set pieces at the end there. That could be a huge thing. That wasn't the reason for me. It's we can defend a lead better with Spence. He's better going forward and backwards. And then maybe Udogie's form, his new form, has kind of reignited Spence now, and so maybe we'll see a better Spence now. Because it's like they're both playing. They're one-upping each other now, trying to get on the lineups now, and that's what we want, because steel sharpens steel.
Yeah.
And then it's the Venom, Vicario, and that. With this lineup, I'm predicting. I want to say something crazy like a runaway score, but that doesn't happen in Europe, especially at home, especially at their home. So I'm going to say 2-1 Tottenham, and then we're in Bilbao, and I guess Postecoglou. It's over to Postecoglou then. But seriously, I have to go to the gym. But thanks so much, guys, for having me on, and I'll catch you guys in the watch along.
I'll see you in the watch along. Enjoy your gym, lad. Come on,
Nice.
you Spurs.
Hey guys, drop it in the chat, guys. Come on.
Big up, Donovan.
Can
Big
I
up,
have a quick word on that, Dave? On
Yeah,
the
work away.
striker thing. Look, I said last week on the watch long, and everyone did laugh at me, that play Johnson on the wing, he'd come round the back post and he'd score. And what do you do within 30 seconds? He came round the back post and score. So I think
he will start tonight.
Huh?
I think Johnson will start out on the right.
Yeah,
tonight.
I think it'd be Teo, Solanke, and one up front, and then Solanke and Johnson. You got to play. But if you do want to mix it up a bit, if Bodo have been training all week for one striker, throw a curveball, put two up there, throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Do you know what I mean? And
I don't like the idea of changing formation, though.
I don't like the idea of it either, Dave. I don't like. You're right.
Huge gamble.
It is, but I'm not. I'm always for once for throwing curveballs. Throw curveball tonight.
Yeah, but you could throw curveballs in how you play within your system. You don't need to change formation to do that. I just think, we changed formation against Everton. Look what happened. We were 3-0 down at half.
I get
it
that.
was embarrassing. And, when they're training, so vividly in one system, all of a sudden to change it. A lot of players don't know what to do in them positions if you're not working on it. So I just think, there's ways we can start them, but within the same formation.
Yeah, I think my man Johnson tonight will pop up with the winner. I think he will. I just got this feeling he's going to pop up with the winner tonight. And I think that's what I think Bodo are going to be caught out with Johnson going around the back, Tell going around the back, and just getting into them places where then we can put balls in that Bodo are thinking, shit, where are they? They've gone. Johnson may not do a lot on the wing. I get the hate for Johnson. I understand it. And I do get it. And I do get he does need to improve. Yes, he's worked great. Yes, he does need to improve certain areas. But for getting into the right place at the right time to knock in them goals like he did against Bodo last week to put us on our way after 20-odd seconds, he is our top goal scorer at the moment.
Yeah.
I think, I think he's good at that. And he may get the winner tonight. He may get the winner tonight. But I would start with Johnson and Tell. But that's just my opinion. But also, I'm also saying in the same breath to Ange, if I was Ange, let's throw a curveball too. But I agree with you. Don't change it. But
look, when it comes to Johnson, I mean, look, he scored the other night. He really didn't do much else after that. But
no,
I think for me, what I'm looking for out of Johnson tonight, I think he's proven the ability that if a chance comes his way, 9 times out of 10, he'll put it in the back of the net. He's our top scorer, right? So credit where credit's due. But tonight is also about working hard out of possession. The amount of goals that come from down that right-hand side, because Porro gets doubled up on, and he's often just jogging back, not really tracking anybody, not really trying defensively. On the press, I often find that he's late to the fullback a lot of the times as well. And that's where my big concern comes in, because tonight's one of them games. You switch off, you let a man go. At this level in Europe, it's costly. You get punished. So for me, that's my big concern when it comes to Brennan Johnson tonight. He's got to be willing to work hard out of possession, because one thing that annoys me when it comes to Brennan Johnson is I often find in the big games, he goes missing a lot of the time. For instance, and what I mean by that is when you're not starting well, when the game's going a bit tough, you need to get the ball out to your wing or get him to maybe drag you up the pitch. He often goes shrinking in behind his fullback, doesn't really show for the ball. That's my big concern with him tonight. However, Odegaard, he scored that goal against West Ham again. He's probably showing the capability. It's like, well, hang on, I can finish these chances if they come to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, he didn't do anything else to really put his main name in the frame for tonight. And I think just looking at it and what they've contributed this season, yes, Udabur has been maybe hampered because of his injury. But if you're Ange Postecoglou right now and they're both just scoring tap-ins, you're going to go with Brennan Johnson because he's done it a lot more often and stuff like that. So he will start tonight. But I want to take a couple of comments here from the chat, and then we'll kick on about just a couple of other things and we'll get into. I want to have a bit of a chat about Kulusevski tonight as well. I think he's going to be absolutely important. Big up Kangi 108, member for 8 months. I'm a nervous Norwegian. We need this. Come on, you Spurs. Well, a Norwegian, that's a Spurs fan, so we love that, my man. Look, I'm absolutely nervous tonight as well, but the destiny's in our own hands. We're 90 minutes away from a European final and potentially making history. We've done a good job in the first leg to give ourselves a good chance going into the final after tonight's final whistle. So hopefully we can get the job done. And honestly, I can't wait to see the release of emotion, because them 20 odd defeats we've suffered this season, that boils up in people. That gives anger, heartache, depression, upset. When you get to a final that you don't expect to get to, and you've had the journey we've had to get there, there's going to be so much emotion released tonight if we get there. And I'm all here for it. Big up, Kangi, whatever you want to call yourself, my man. Big yourself up. We've got Hotspur 93. He's become a YouTube member. Really appreciate that. And I did start another comment from him. I just got to find it. For some reason, it's gone, but he was just saying he appreciates the content and that. So really appreciate that, Hotspur 63. We do run fan shows and that on Monday evenings. Make sure you come and have your say, buddy. Trinidad says, positive vibes, Irish Hotspur are massive. We'll get the job done. We all know it's actually the final. That's what makes us nervous. Come on, you Spurs. It's what's at stake, my man. Absolutely spot on. Nick Carey, their top scorers at home in the Europa. We've got to go to score, in my opinion, as I can see them not scoring. We've got to go and score a goal tonight. If we score a goal tonight, I think that should be enough to see us through. Dante, no, not nervous, based on different teams with different players and different managers. We've also got Seeker 1. Gonna smash him. You watch. I really hope so. Del Boy, great to see you. Says Bodo 2-0 Spurs, extra time on penalties. Spurs win on penalties. I can't take it if it goes to penalties. Del, don't have it in me, my man. I'm already nervous as is. Danny Darko, go out swinging. Attack. Shawnee Maddox says, if we don't rate our defense, then we need to be slightly more aggressive than a Conte. This game will go down to winning the midfield. You're absolutely spot on this. I just think the way we set up our defensive structure and stuff, I do take the opinion that another manager would set this defense up better. However, it's a defense that's proven the way it's currently structured, we can't rely on it to hold out. We've seen that time and time again. So therefore, instead of just inviting them on us and go, yep, keep swinging in balls and off the law of averages, eventually you're going to score a couple. We've got to do more up the field in terms from the midfield and the forward line, getting up there, putting pressure on him. You're absolutely spot on there, Shawnee. And the midfield battle is going to be key. That's one area that maybe worries me a little bit tonight. Basuma, he's finding form at the right time, some would argue. But again, you can't really trust him. Kulusevski struggling to come back from his injury. That's likely he's going to be in the midfield tonight. I worry about the midfield a little. That's why I think the forward line is so important in terms of going on that press tonight. Shawnee Maddox, big up. Bobby K says, 550 here, only 105 likes. Let's show David and the panel some love and hit that like button. Big up, Bobby. Really appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. There's over 750 now across all platforms, so make sure come over to YouTube and smash that like. Big up, Bobby. Hopefully you and the lads are ready, heading down to the local. Get yourselves going for this game tonight. Big up, Bobby K. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you got the night off work. That'd be nice. We've got Matty Bynum says, push for an early goal straight away, stun them early. I mean, that would quieting down the crowd would be essential. Someone has it here. I got to start a Rambam would be absolutely nice. Nick Carey says, I think it's important we score first to put this to bed inside the first 10 minutes. I mean, that would be my game plan, to try and get it over early and done. I know it's a risk. Sometimes fortune favors those who's brave, because you look at our last European defeats and exits, they all came playing a pragmatic way away from home. Giddy Hap says, if Bodo can't score in the first half, game is over. I hope you're absolutely right there. Hotspur says, good evening all. If Tottenham turn up, we are through. Oh, that's the big hope, my man. That is the big hope, and it's a big if. We also have DB been cutting the lawn here in the positivity, and then Dave, I'm with Dave, but love the hope. I'm just a bit nervous, DB. I'm so nervous, my man. Darren Johnson, hit the likes, guys. Not for me, for Dave. Let's go. Come on, you effing Spurs. Big up, Darren. Really appreciate that. We've got Marquez in the house. Great to see you, buddy. Hopefully you're keeping well. Paddy Harnett as well. Great to see you. Darth Hotspur, big up. Faz Radfire says, Soren has a point, but we can kill this game from minute one. We've got Giz THA going to my first Spurs match on Sunday. Well, I'm going to a Spurs match on Sunday, so if you're around and you want to meet up, just let us know. 29 years, give me a high to be on tonight, lads. Do you know what? This is why I'm actually a lot nervous as well, because I'm going to that Palace game on the weekend. Now, I've had the Palace game booked for a long time, since just after Christmas. If we go out, it's going to be one shit place to be Sunday, because the season's over and it's an absolute nothing match. If we win, it's still a nothing match in terms of the Premier League, but the place is going to be absolutely bouncing if we're in a Europa League final, my man. So a lot riding on tonight for me on that one.
I can't wait for that, Dave, on Sunday. I can't wait. I'm going to the same one. You, me, and meeting in the airport in the morning. You, me. If we get to that final, will we be singing Spurs on the way to Bilbao at the airport in the morning?
Oh, it's going to be absolutely brilliant, Dermo.
You won't be singing on the way to Bilbao. You'll be singing "We're in Bilbao."
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. King Hodden says, I'm visualizing the Romero. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, look, yourself and a lot of the chat and a lot of Spurs fans are all saying how nervous they are tonight. Don't care how positive the Bodo fans are. They'll be bricking it even more than we are. They're 3-1 down. We're 3-1 up. So you think how much, if we do score a goal, they will deflate.
I know. It's just we've got to score that goal first. I think if they score first, it's game on. I think the first goal is so important in this game.
Yeah, but if they score first and we score second, it's the same. That they've still got to keep coming out and scoring.
I know what you're saying, but we haven't shown comeback ability this year. Anytime we sort of go behind, we know what the rest of the game sort of entails this season. Very rarely have we been able to peg back from behind. That was an ability we had last year to a large degree, but this year we haven't had it.
Very rarely have we lost by more than one goal as well. So
that's fair.
You look at it that way and say we've got to lose by at least 2 or 3, three clear goals to actually lose and 2 to take it to extra time. So they've got to do something that basically only Liverpool have done against us.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Look, I take all that into consideration. It's just, look, there's so much at stake tonight. I can't get Zagreb out of my head, and it just makes me a bit nervous. But look, at the end of the day, I agree. We are fucking Tottenham Hotspur. Our wage budget would fund their club for a whole fucking year. There's no excuses for us not to lose here tonight. We are the Giants. They are the minnows. But like I said, if the talent isn't willing to work hard, then working hard will beat talent all day long. So that's where the nerves comes in. But at the end of the day, I fully understand we are Tottenham Hotspur and we should be doing this tonight. But look, you can't blame me. In games gone by and years gone by, I've walked in, going to smash them. We end up getting defeated, and I'm sitting there fucking grumpy ass. So I'm taking a different approach to this one, Soren, hoping for a different outcome. So that's the case.
The thing is, with a lot of it, I mean, even I don't think we're going to go and smash them. I can't wait for Dermo's prediction score-wise. I think it's going to be 5 or 6-0. But look, I don't think we're going to smash them. But I also think we've done enough to go through. Now, by going through, like I've said several times, that doesn't mean we're going to win. We could lose 2-1. We could lose 3-2. We're still going through. And this is why I say that after 90 minutes, I am still confident enough that we will be going through to Bilbao. Doesn't matter what the score is. I don't care if we do lose, we're still going through as long as we haven't lost by 3 or 4-0. That's
if I see us start well, if I see us do what I think are the right things to do tonight, then that'll give me confidence, going into the game. I think the first 5 minutes will sort of tell me a lot of what I need to know. But look, don't get me wrong. Like, part of me is sitting here going, I've already looked at the prices to Bilbao. That shows I already think we're going there. But I'm just nervous of a sting in the tail. So that's all. But I want to take a couple more comments because I want to get on to a couple more other topics. King Hoddle says, I'm visualizing a Romero run bomb from a corner. Can they handle him in their box? Look, that's one thing Romero's absolutely brilliant at. Not a lot of people can. He tracks that corner very well and he gets himself on the end of it. He's been close. It is coming, King Huddle. That's what I will say. We've also got Kim says, so you think Lazio are a shit team? They should have lost 4-0. At least you guys worry me. And look, to your point, I think you're absolutely spot on here, Kim. You know, Lazio were lucky. They could have been 4-0 down at half time, actually, let alone 4-0 down altogether. And people forget. People go, Lazio average. Look what Bodo done to them at home. Yeah, but that's because of all the conditions, and that's how much it affects the team. Lazio finished top of the Europa League group stage. They are not a bad team. They done better than every other team. They handled it better than what we did. And they got turned over by Bodo because when they went out there, I seen the players, the long sleeves were down, their shoulders were up like that, sleeves over the hands, etc. Bad attitude. They didn't want to be there. The environment had beat them. That's what can happen out there very, very easily.
Dave, let's not forget, what a lot of people are forgetting is, yes, Lazio went there. So did, I think, Galatasaray, whatever. It wasn't the semi-final of the cup.
No, I get it. Look,
there is a lot more. Tonight is a far different game to most games.
Look, I'm not sitting here saying we can't win. Like, you know, I think we've got enough quality. I think with Tottenham Hotspur on our day, we can go out there, we can surprise people, and we can go and win this game. I'm just not ignoring that, the warning signs that are there. You know, I think, you know, the players, look, it doesn't really matter what us fans think. It doesn't matter. But I would hope that the players and the manager have run through all this. The fact that they are top scorers. They've got a guy that's their top scorer in the league, scores most of his goals at home. The artificial surface, they've beat many teams up there. You know, these are all things that these players need to be aware of heading into there just to make sure that their mentality is right. Because one thing where I know with Bodo, their mentality is going to be right. It's ours is questionable this season, you know, and that's where I hope, because we've gone out in years gone by. We went out to Zagreb. We thought we were going to piss through that game, coast through that game. All of a sudden they score. We're already in a bad state because of the mindset we've gone out there. And when you're already in that mindset and all of a sudden you're stunned, very hard for you to drag yourself out of that when things are just coming one way, you know. And so the warning signs are there, and I'm just putting them out there. I'm not going to sit here and ignore it. But at the end of the day, I still think we have more than enough quality to be able to go and win the game for sure. Let me just take a couple more comments and then we'll get back into more discussions. Brian Backward says surviving the first 20 minutes will be crucial. Forget this first match. I'm from Norway, and trust me when I say playing Bodo Glimt at home will feel like playing Barcelona. Interesting. Shawnee Maddox says, this game is won or lost in midfield. Need to show more desire and plug the centre. Do you know what, Shawnee? I don't know whether it was just me, but I noticed last week when we were going on the press, Charlison blocked off that ball out to the right fullback every single time. The angle of the press he was coming at was different to what I've seen left wingers do before. And what we were trying to do is force them to play that ball into the midfield and for our midfielders to get in on them and sort of hustle and bustle them, turn that ball over and get going. I just wonder, will that be the same game plan tonight? Or was it different because their midfield were missing and that was their weak spot? Be interesting to see what way we approach that tonight, Shawnee Maddox. But you're absolutely spot on. Midfield battle is key tonight. Big up, Shawnee. Really appreciate the support. And we've got this from Tanner Webster, says, love Spence, but think Porro, we can't play on the back foot. Porro going forward and addition balls is a necessity, especially without James Maddison tonight. You're absolutely spot on. Tony Southfield says, best channel on YouTube for not constantly asking for likes. So hit it for the lads in the semi-final. Big up, my man. Really appreciate that, Tony. We've also got Mary W. says, be careful, just cut out sloppiness and we will be fine. Absolutely spot on. Stefan Blois, big up, Stefan. I'm in sunny Spain. Hopefully Spurs can get there soon. Found a bar with a few Spurs fans. It's going to be an amazing night. I will recommend your podcast. Come on, you Spurs. Very, very kind of you, Stefan. Enjoy yourself out there. Don't get arrested before the big game out there, my man. We've got Charlie Val says, thanks for game preview, guys. Tonight is ours. Come on, you Spurs. Look, destiny is in our own hands. I like this. But also sometimes it can put you into a false pretense of security to a certain degree. But I would just hope that this side realizes they can lose to anybody on their day and actually come out here with a different motivation tonight. But big up, my man. Look, we do previews for every game this season. It doesn't matter how big or how small. We are here, Charlie. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support, buddy. And then we've got this from Paul, says, drink for you, Jack, mate. Top content, and we're on the way to Bilbao. Come on, you Spurs. Our name is on the cup. I actually wonder where Jack's going to make contact him before the watch along and see where he's gone to watch the game. I think he was heading down the Tottenham direction. I think his plan was the Bricklayers or the Beehive. So no doubt he's going to be boozed up tonight. I can't wait to see the videos of him or the voice notes or videos. I'll get him going back to the hotel if we make the bow. It's going to be priceless. But big up, Paul. Really appreciate support, man. You didn't need to do that. And Noel Sullivan, big up, Noel. Good to see you. One of our regulars on Twitter, by the way. Big up, Noel. And then Foggy Foam says, big up, guys. Our defense needs to be solid. No silly mistakes. And put Danzo in a back tree to see the game out later on. Later on, look, if it's getting a bit dicey, no problem with it. If we start with a back three, I'm going to be so much more nervous than what I already am. And I'm already a bit out of kilter today with the nerves and stuff like that. Oh, did I see the Owlad? Yes, I did. Big up the Owlad. He says, I hope the trumpet player traveled. We are going to need him tonight. Look, the trumpet, and they've got a drummer now that, you know, if you practice the triangle, we might be able to get you on the European journey next season, my man. But look, big game tonight. Make sure you get your big Spurs tanker in the freezer, nice and frozen. Make sure you've got a couple of cans in the fridge. And look, I'll give you a phone call tonight if we get the job done. If we don't get the job done, I'm going to need a day or two to sort of stew a little and cry a little, as you like to say I do. So big up, Dad. Good to see you. And hopefully we can get the job done tonight. Oh, guys, where am I in terms of my questions? So we spoke about how we want to approach it. Look, I've got to put it out there, and then we are going to move on to a little bit about Vicario and a little bit about Kulusevski. But last time Spurs took a 2-goal lead into a tricky away leg in Europe, we all remember what happened against Dynamo Zagreb. They came back from a 2-0 deficit in the round of 16 in the Europa League, winning the leg 3-0. What's the one thing Spurs absolutely must not do tonight if we want to avoid a second leg collapse like we suffered, 4 or 5 years ago?
Not score. We need to score.
Yeah, we do. We need the first goal. We need to get in there first. We need to, if we can score the first goal, that was so doubt into their mind. And then they're going to have to come out and attack us. They're going to have to come out. And that will leave gaps behind for us to get into. Keep it tight, compact for the first 15 minutes. Keep it tight and compact, and then just pick them off. Because they will have to come out at some stage. They're going to have to come at us at some stage. And that will leave space behind for the likes of Johnson, Tell, Solanke, the runners from midfield to fill in them gaps. And do like what happened at Frankfurt. Look how we got the penalty for Maddison running in from midfield and attacking that ball. That's what we need to do tonight. But for the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, keep it tight, keep it compact, and do not give them a sniff of a chance. Do not give them a sniff of anything. If we can get over the first 15 minutes, then I think the game's won.
You don't fancy losing 3-0 to 89th minute and scoring 3 goals in by 95th minute then?
No, because I'd be in Wexford Hospital. I won't be on the plane with Dave. I'd be in Wexford Hospital having a heart attack.
You don't fancy another Ajax then?
No. As I said, I'll be in Wexford Hospital, not on a plane with Dave going over to Tottenham, because I'll be in there getting my heart pumped.
Oh, come on. We want some excitement. We want to be 3-0 down by half
No,
time.
we don't.
And then 89th minute, we're 4-0 down and we score 2 goals or 3 goals in by 95th minute. And,
It's just like Tottenham to do that, Soren. Honestly, it's just like Tottenham to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how we go through. Like I say, I'm not expecting a game where we're going to be sat here saying that was an absolutely fantastic game. I think I can't wait to see your watcher on because your face and some of your reactions is going to be brilliant. But I just think it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be, once the kickoff starts, then the nerves do set in then. But I think it's going to be a nail biter right to the end. I really
Let me ask you, Soren, right? Because it is just like Tottenham Hotspur to, put you through the ringer like that. If Spurs do go behind early today or at some stage, how confident are you in our ability to actually keep our heads, manage the game, and bounce back?
I think it's one of those that if we go 1-0 down and it's still 1-0 at half time, I think the players will be all right. I think it's more if it's a Liverpool type game and we have gone 3-0 down very early on, then we will, we could crumble. But if Postecoglou's got anything about him, all he'll be saying is, if it's 3-1 tonight, we're in extra time. We are out of it. But the players have got to believe, and the fans have got to believe. And as much as it's one of those, under Poch, we used to go 1-0 down and think we can, we're going to win this in 90th minute. We're not bothered. And under Poch, in some games, when you go 1-0, and not Poch, under Postecoglou, you go 1-0 down, you think, do you know what? We're playing all right. We can come back in this. So it all depends on the mannerism of how we're playing. Yeah. If we will, even if we go 1-0 down within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you'll still see how the team are playing. And if the team still look up for it, I'm not worried, because, like I say, we don't necessarily have to win tonight to still go through. A draw's good enough. And look, Spurs are Spurs. We used to going 1-0 down. So it's not the end of the world. As much as the perfect scenario is we score first, that is the perfect scenario, because it will be a massively different game if we do. It's not the end of the world if we don't. And as much as it's one of those, if they score early, we've seen it so many times in thousands and thousands of games with other teams as well, that scoring early is not always the best thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's good for them because they're chasing the game, but it still gives you however long to come back. The worst thing is if it's the 89th minute and it's 3-1 to them and then they score. That's the worst, because you haven't got the time to come back. But, look, at the end of the day, as a Tottenham fan, we all know how Tottenham play, but don't know what it is. Dermot's the same as me, and a few of my mates are. There's just something about this game. There's just something about this year. There's just something about this cup that says we're doing it. And we've got to believe. If we don't believe, then what's the point in being a football fan? Yes, be nervous. Yes, be scared. You've got to believe, And look, if we don't believe as fans, why should we expect the players to believe? That, so
that's a fair point.
Yeah, so if it's, everybody knows it's going to be tough, and it could be one of the worst performances that we've seen from Tottenham for a long time. Doesn't matter how bad the performance is, as long as we go through.
Yeah, we just got to scrape. Look, we just got to get there. Sometimes you just got to get there. Sometimes you got to ride your luck to a certain degree. You're absolutely.
All I want to see tonight, honestly, is a professional performance. We can do it. We did it against Frankfurt away from home. All I want to see is a professional performance, no silly heroics, no silly mistakes, and just get this over the line. Get us to the final in Bilbao. And then it's a different story.
Yeah. Look, tonight's just, we asked the question, how do we avoid, what happened out in Zagreb? Just start the game well and go and score a goal. There are two things that didn't happen out in Zagreb. You're absolutely spot on there. We got to go out and show a bit of fight. But I do want to just take one brief moment, guys, to put a pin in the excitement just for a moment and help you guys, basically navigate your way through Tottenham games not being shown on live television. Well, one way around that is getting yourself a NordVPN and shopping around and going into the likes of different countries, because believe it or not, when Tottenham games aren't being shown on in the UK because of media blackout, or we don't have the draw and our season's over to a certain degree, you can still watch them on other subscription services in different countries. So what NordVPN allows you to do is access them. So that's basically what NordVPN does. It allows you to bounce your location to a different country, and then basically you can access like what Jack has over there, where he somehow gets to watch every single game. So it's a massive help. Also, a lot of Spurs fans are planning on traveling out to Bilbao. You are going to have a bit of downtime over there. And if you want to catch up on TV series and episodes, you won't be able to do that without having a VPN. So another reason why you guys should have it. It's absolutely great for you out in Spain, out in Bilbao. But not only that, on your travels in general. And you can have it on up to 10 devices as well, which is the huge benefit. Also, the bandwidth throttle in there as well, which protects you from what's the right word for it? Lagging and stuff like that. So that's an absolute massive help. And then also when you are shopping around, the next obvious question is security. well, they make sure they protect all of your personal data and also all your bank details while you are surfing the web. Premium cybersecurity is a part of what they offer with the VPN. So if all of that does sound good to you guys, make sure you get over to nordvpn.com. Type in the code FLATCAP, try the 2-year plan. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you do not enjoy the product. But there's also other plans there as well that you can avail of. But I think with the modern day and age, with technology, with the prices of everything going up, I think price gouging and shopping around is exactly what you need. And that's exactly what a NordVPN allows you to do, amongst other benefits. There's so many benefits to it, guys. So make sure you get on it. And plus, NordVPN have been very kind to sponsor this channel on its European journey. So let's give a little back. Big up NordVPN. And then we've got a couple of chats here. We've got one from Jack, so we'll actually get into it and find out how Jack's getting on in just a moment. I want to see, Jack, put in the chat and let people know where you're watching the game, my man. But big up, Jacko. We've got RST first, though, says, I agree with Dave. We need to go at them. If we go pragmatic, 3 at the back, it'll be a pasting like it was against Liverpool, Everton, Frankfurt was a one-off. Look, I just think you look in years gone by under Nuno, under Jose, under Conte, they didn't like going and pressing that ball. We invited the pressure and we caved. You know, all it takes is a lucky deflection, a lucky bounce. You know, a player to miskick a ball, it ends up in the back of your own net. That's why I think tonight we've got to go and press that back line, go and press that midfield, put the pressure on them. You sit back. And plus, we've seen this defense can't hold out. They cannot hold out. Very rarely they've proven that they can. So all the more reason to go and press them. I think it's silly if you've got a defense that can't hold out just to go come at us, and allow them to get deep into your half without really being unchallenged. I think you're only causing problems for yourself. Big up RST. He also says they couldn't even come back against Palace, Soren. Fair point. But look, I would say maybe Bodo Glimt probably may. Are they a little bit better than Palace? I'm not sure. But Palace have got to the FA Cup. They've proven they are a good team under Ollie Glasner. But it also is an indictment of how far Tottenham have fallen in terms of English football. Jack, member for 26 months, headed up to the bricklayers now. He says 5-mile run around Hyde Park. Swam in Hampstead Heat earlier to mimic the Arctic Circle. Had a good Indian meal beforehand. Game ready. Come on, you Spurs. Well, I think Jack's just waiting for the beer now, isn't he? And I also told him, make sure you've got one spare just to throw up in the air as well when we win the game, my man, because, you know, it's going to be raining beer. And you know what? What will make it even sweeter? The fact that Arsenal went out of Europe last night. If we can get into the Europa League, imagine if we win it. We could just sit here and say we've had a better season than them and let them cry and deal with the fallout. Be absolutely brilliant. And that's what makes me even more nervous. You know, the fact that Arsenal have gone, everyone's sitting here praying on Tottenham's misery. But if we can get through tonight, the arrogance is going to be coming out of me left, right, and center. Big up, Jacko. Enjoy yourself over there. Let us know, though. Maybe if you can tomorrow, maybe upload a little video explaining of your experience watching it in a pub around Tottenham. I'll be curious to watch that and see how you got on. I think it's going to be electric around Tottenham Hotspur tonight. Big up, Jacko, and enjoy yourself, my man. Oh, we're waiting for teams to come out. I think we've got a couple of minutes before they do come out. Dermo, you sticking with us? Do you have to go?
I have to jump off because I'll start my before the whistle at 7. So look, thanks for having me on again, Dave. I've enjoyed these pre-match pump ups all season. It's been like the part of my match day, and I've really have enjoyed it. And I want to thank you and Jack for giving me the opportunity for coming on to these and let me have my say. I know not everyone in the chat agrees with what I say, and I know everyone thinks.
No one agrees with what I said, Darmo. It's part and parcel of it. It's football. Everyone sees it differently, man.
Yeah, it is, but I want to thank you to give me the opportunity and letting me have my say. So thank you for inviting me into all these. It really is really grateful. So yeah, thank you so much. And let's go through in. Next time I see you, sir, be the airport in the morning.
It will be, lad. It will be, hopefully singing. Spurs are on their way to Bilbao. Tottenham.
That's a good one, Dermot.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, Dermot.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the score?
What's the score? A fella comes into my chat, Gerard. He says, Dermo, call it. So I'm going to call it Soren, call it. I'm going to go for do you know what? Fuck it. I'm going for a 5-0 win. That's what I'm going for tonight.
Well,
If you want me to be serious, I'm going for a 2-1 win. If you want me to be completely delusional, which I am, I'm going for 5-0. So, do you know what? Just hit your bets on each which one you want to take.
Do you know what's concerning?
You know what?
Do you know what's concerning? Just quickly, Johnny Maddox went 4-0, completely ripping the piss, and Dermot's trumped him and gone 5-0. It's absolutely brilliant. Big up, Shawnee. Sorry.
No, it wouldn't surprise me if, look, it could go either way before anybody starts screaming at me, but it wouldn't surprise me if we go there and win and actually convincingly win. It wouldn't, you know.
I want us
would
to. I
just
think
be-
perception matters heading into the final, Soren. I think you win heading into the final. You win out there despite all the warning signs and stuff. You know, I think you actually send yourself into the final with belief and actually hope that you can get it done. I think if you scrape through, I think it leaves up a very nervous tie for the final then.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think they're not going to score. I do think they'll score, but you know, I can see us going out there and doing the same at a 3-1 or a 2-1 or a 3-2. I do not think it's in the realms of us. I see it as losing out there, but I also see that we could easily win out there because I just think that if they are so confident, and we've seen it before where, you know, teams have been so confident and they've been that confident, they've actually screwed it up. So, you know, it's if we do go out there and score first, and there's nothing to stop us quickly scoring again because they'll be shell shocked because I don't think they'll think that we can score out there. That I'm with Dermo that, you know, I don't think it's going to be a 4-5-0. I think that is a little bit too much for me, but you know, I can see it being 3-1 either way or whatever. And it wouldn't surprise me for us to go out there and actually win.
And also, the finals on the 21st. We won UEFA Cup on the 23rd in 1984. The finals are so close together. I'm telling you, Dave, the omen to beat a German side and a Dutch side on the way to that final. We won with the second-rate team because we had injuries. The omens are there. The omens are there. We're going to win.
Can I just say, they've literally got water cannons on the pitch now, blasting water all over it, which means they want that surface to be nice and zippy tonight. Interesting. Literally,
cool.
You know,
doesn't that suit us?
They're lowering their sea level in the Arctic Circle. Surely one of these fucking, you know, groups are onto them out there, surely.
But dude, when's Greenpeace when you want them? Where's Greenpeace when you need them? They're never there. Listen, guys, I'll let you go. If you don't like what I have to say, do get over to THFC Two Would I. Hit like, but do it here first. This is the mother channel. This is the mothership to my channel. But come on, guys, let's get behind the Spurs. Dave, have a fantastic watch
see you in the morning, lad.
And I'll see you in the morning, mate. I'll have a cider and you can have a coffee. There you go. We can celebrate that way in style. All right, come on, you Spurs.
Big up, Dermo.
Come on,
Spurs. Make sure you get across to Dermo, guys. I did put his link here in the chat. Get across and show him some love. He's been delusional all the way. Well, actually, we say he's been delusional all the way throughout this. He's been right. We've got here, so you can't really say he's been delusional. To be fair, maybe his belief is paying off. I am waiting for the lineups to come out. I think in Europe, maybe they come out a little bit later. But it's very interesting that they've got the water cannons out soaking the pitch. It means they're gearing up. You know, they want to go out there at us nice and fast, maybe see us slip and stuff like that. And I wonder how some of our fans are getting on out there, actually. I wonder. I've just seen something I don't want to talk about. No, it's mad, but it looks good. Looks good fun out there. But guys, how crucial is Kulusevski today in terms of Maddison's absence? You know, because with James Maddison, he's contributed a lot of the goals along this knockout stage. He's been involved in a lot of the goals. You know, he's been huge for us on this Europa League run. You know, his creativity. You know, his threat in these Europa League games. It's going to have to be replaced by somebody. And it's probably going to fall on Kulu. But Kulu hasn't come back the same player. Has this game come too soon to him? Does he have the ability even to step up and be that guy that we need?
I think, personally, it suits Kulu tonight because he's one of these players that, you know, he closes down. His work rate is tremendous. It doesn't matter whether his form's there. He still works hard.
Yeah.
And for me, Kulu tonight is pivotal. I think he's going to work hard, and I think that will be the epic of the whole team tonight. Is the work rate, the closing down, the stop. You know, the stopping them from playing their game, and Kulu in the middle could just be the pivotal point. That it might not be a case of we get a lot of chances. It might just be one moment of brilliance or two moments of brilliance from us that score us the goal that we need or the two goals that we need. And there are a lot of players out there tonight. I mean, I kind of think Bissouma will play tonight. Well, after his last couple of games, then maybe that's fine. If he turns up tonight, it's brilliant. But yeah, Kulu could be the missing link tonight if he turns up. And yes, it's early, but he's had a couple of games now. He's got, and I think he's the sort of player. He's that sort of Scandinavian, European type player that this will be perfect for him. Oh, we got
right. So the lineups are out.
He's gone for it.
Let's run through them. So on the lineup, we've got Vicario in goals. People, let me know how you are feeling about Vicario tonight. He's been very dicey lately. Hasn't been great in goals, causing a lot of sloppy errors, conceding a lot of sloppy goals. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about him tonight. Can we trust him tonight? Pedro Porro and Destiny Adogi come in as the fullbacks. Romero is the captain tonight. King Huddle, the Ramboms come in with Van de Ven as his partner. Then in midfield, it's Bissouma, Bentancur and Kulusevski with Johnson, Solanke and Richarlison. And do you know what? Little pat on the back, Dave. That's the exact lineup that I picked heading into this game. So I got it absolutely spot on. Hopefully the game plan matches. Maybe me and Postecoglou, maybe I'm guiding Postecoglou through this European run. That's why he switched up his tactics a little. On the bench, we've got Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman, Jed Spence, Ben Davies, Kevin Danso, Archie Gray, Papa Massar, Callum Olosesi, Ajayi, Udabur, Moore, and Tell. So we do have impact players off the bench. Pretty young bench, though, I may add. I mean, guys, it's just a team that's picked to start the game to try and send us all the way to the Europa League final, which, look, let's be honest, it was only merely a dream at the start of the season. We are just potentially 90 minutes away from what we dreamed about at the start of the year, despite having 20-odd losses. How fucking crazy is that? But this is the
team I expected.
Postecoglou has picked. Sorry, Paul?
That's the team I expected.
You happy with it?
Yeah. Apart from maybe, to me, Johnson doesn't feel with confidence, but everybody else, I know he turns up at the right place at the right time, but Lineker used to do that as well.
Fair point. Fair point.
It's kind of, to me, I like the lineup. I like the way he's put Solanke and Richarlison. He's going for the full. He's basically going for the full press, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, that's a work rate team. Like I said, the only surprise I've got is the Solanke Richarlison to start. But look, he's wanting to win this within 90 minutes. That team says that. That team says he doesn't want to concede early, but he wants to make sure we score a goal at some point. So look, that's the team that's going to take us to Bilbao. It's as simple as that.
I really hope so. I really hope so. If they get to Bilbao, clean slate for every single one of them players for the day for me, for sure. I just want to get there.
I just think it's what I don't know. I don't know why I'm so confident, because normally I'm not. I mean, I remember going into Ajax and that we were, it was a brick in it type thing. But there's just something about this season that I don't know. All that keeps going through my head, and I know it's wrong, and I know it's the worst things to say is I always win something in my second season, mate. I've always won something in my second season, and I just think he's going to do it again. I just think it's written for him that he's going to win something in his second. It might be his last season with us as well, but I think he's going to go out with a bang, and I think the cup is ours.
Look, I actually like the forward line that he's gone with. It's the same last week. Are we going to look to go at them? Get down that right-hand side, put balls in the box. I also think, from a physical perspective, up front, I think it's important to have that long ball, maybe catch them by surprise for the first 15, 20 minutes, because they were a lot of their players wouldn't have come up with someone of the size of a Solanke or a Richarlison. I just think, it helps us find a foothold in the game, because no doubt there's going to be nerves from some of these players walking into that pitch tonight. 90 minutes away from a European final, it's going to be in their mind. There's going to be nerves. And I think for the first 15, 20 minutes, it's about setting up with the right game plan to allow them to get a foothold in that game. And I think it'd be the same as last week. Hit Richarlison, hit Solanke, look to build off them rather than run the risk of making mistakes trying to play through the back, because they probably plan for that and they're probably going to press us. I think he's made the right call here tonight. I just hope these players can turn up.
And maybe that's why he's gone with the more senior players rather than the kids that, maybe he's hopefully to stop the nerves being in the team. And, hopefully, yeah, I mean, look, you look through that team and you think Richarlison's been to the World Cup. Van der Ven's a big player. Romero's a World Cup player, a World Cup winner, should I say. Vicario, Pedro Porro, they've all played in big games. Kulu, he generally does turn up in the big games. He's not one for going missing. So you kind of looking at it and think maybe it is the right decision to not put the kids on. Look, the only thing I would say is let's just hope that we don't need the kids to come on and do it, because this team has got to win this game or make sure we haven't lost this game in 90 minutes. I just don't know how long Solanke and Richarlison are going to last. That's the only worry I've got. Kulu, he'll do the full 90, and he'll probably do the 120 if he's got to. Bissouma's got to have a big. I think the one that Bissouma's got to have a big game. Yeah, Bissouma and Bentancur in that midfield have got to absolutely boss it. They have really have got to boss it today. If either of them two have a bad game and give the ball away, that's where we'll lose the game today, is that midfield.
Yeah, he's gone for a double pivot again, though, hasn't he?
But it'll be interesting to see how that works out, because, I wouldn't be quite so sure. I just wonder, will Bentancur just slot naturally straight into that number 8? Because I'm of the opinion, I think Bentancur is a natural number 8. I think number 6 is sort of holding him back to a large degree. I think he's filling in there and doing a job for us. But I'd make the argument, I think he's better as a number 8. I think he can affect the game going forward. I think you look underneath Antonio Conte.
That's what I mean, a double pivot.
Outlet goals
and Bissouma and Bentancur clearing up in the midfield.
Yeah, but if you look at it, Paul, actually all three will clear up. Kulu clears up in midfield. He's not necessarily that, creative player. He's a workhorse. So if you think Bissouma, Bentancur and Kulu on their day, if they're all on form, that is a hard midfield to get through if they're on form. I mean, don't get me wrong. If any of them have a bad game, they'll walk through us. But that midfield is probably as strong as we can get. Defensively sort of strong rather than creatively.
Yeah. Well, look, in terms of experience as well, it's the best one we could have picked tonight with the likes of Maddison out injured and that. So, I think, look, there's no surprise there in the midfield. I think on their day, it's definitely a physical midfield that can win that midfield battle. It's just on their day also, sometimes they can be lazy. They can make silly mistakes. The likes of Kulu, the likes of Bissouma worries me a little, but they should have, if they don't have more than enough to be able to, overrun this Bodo Glimt midfield, then what are we doing here? But what I will say, looking at that lineup, all of our experienced players are starting this game. I think you pointed that out, Soren and Paul, which means, at some point, with Solanke's fitness, with Richarlison's fitness, we are going to potentially Kulu as well. We are going to have to make substitutions. What we can't have is the game and the balance when we're making them subs. We need these youngsters coming on to see out this game when we have the 2-goal advantage or even another one by scoring. What we can't do is bring them on when the game is in the balance, because that's when it's going to become a real difficult night for them. But what I will also add is, in fairness to them, they have shown this season they can turn up in the Europa League. Joy had a great impact. Mikey Moore, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Mikey Moore turning up in some of these games and stuff like that. Udapur wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him stepping up against AZ Alkmaar, sending us through. So some of these youngsters have stepped up. But I think it's a different game in a semi-final when the pressure's on and everything else. It's a much different game, especially if the momentum is in their favor. It's hard to get these guys to come on and disrupt that. So these players have to see this out till about 75, 80 minutes before we start making subs without conceding.
Do you see this team not scoring, though?
I think there's a goal in it for sure.
Yeah, I do. I think this team will...
At least a one.
Yeah. And look, I mean, in theory, everybody wanted a 3-0 lead. Well, if we score 1, that's our 3-goal advantage again. So, that means they've got to score 4 to go through. So I think this team is... It will score.
London.
And Look, I also think he's put a team out there to be pretty solid and a really hard-working team.
Yeah.
So, I think he, same as us, thinks he's going to the final.
One of my big concerns with, sorry, Paul, did you want to come in?
No, I was just going to agree with Soren, to be fair. It's a solid lineup and it's what we expected. And from what I can see from there, maybe he's going to play a 4-2-3-1 sort of formation in that. And that's where we always do our best.
I think, the team selection calms me down a little bit. I think picking Richarlison and Solanke in the same front line was important to me today, making sure we pick that midfield as well. But also not trying anything crazy with a different formation. So it actually eases my nerves a bit, calms my nerves a bit, because a lot of these players played against Bodo Glimt in the first leg. But like I said, the AstroTurf is a different pitch. This game is about the first 15, 20 minutes, showing a little bit survival if we can. Get at them and try and score an early goal and really sort of, end this tie. But look, like I said, their late goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium means they are not going down with a fight. So this isn't job done yet. It's only half done. Let's fucking go over there tonight, show them who Tottenham Hotspur are, and let's fucking finish off this job, because the reality is the media, every other club around Europe are sitting there waiting for Tottenham to fail tonight, and they're going to rub it in if we do. I want to ruin their weekends. I want to ruin their evening, because at the end of the day, when Tottenham wins, the whole football world is upset. So let's go out there and get the job done tonight. Let's make them hate us even fucking further, and then we'll embrace it from there. Let's get a score prediction off these boys, and then we're going to call it an evening, because I will be back for the watch along, but it's me running the show today, so I have to get in there nice and early and make sure I've got it all ready, right to go, so there's no fuck-ups today, because nobody wants that, guys. So, Paul, let's get to you, my man. Let's get your score prediction.
4-1.
4-1 Tottenham.
Spurs.
On aggregate or tonight?
Tonight. I think we're going to go out and smack them to pieces.
I hope so.
Honestly, I think the quality will show, and I think the semi-final of the Europa League against a Premier League team, yeah, they might have played Lazio, but they all had other campaigns going on, and this is our be-all and end-all. So I can't see them doing anything to us. So to me, it'd be 4-1.
4-1. Okay. There we have it. Look, hopefully it's a case that Bodo's fucking nervous, weak at the knees, and we can, it maybe like Ajax, maybe it's one step too far. That's hopefully the case tonight. Soren, what's your score prediction, my man?
I'm going 3-2. I think they will score. I think they'll score a couple, but I think we'll win it tonight. No doubt that we're going to Bilbao, and I just think 8:45, 9:45. I think at 9:50 it's the Tottenham boys making all the noise everywhere we go. And sorry for the singing, I can't sing, I'm out of tune, but we will be singing tonight.
Oh, I hope so, because there is that famous expression, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Well, hopefully I start singing tonight, and then, it's over. That would be nice. It's over when Dave starts singing tonight. But the old lad, he says...
Put a dress on and we're all happy.
Huh?
Put a dress on and we're all happy.
That's one thing you won't see me do, that's for sure. But big up the old lad. He reckons we've gone long ball tonight, which I think, look, for the first 15, 20 minutes to maybe settle the nerves down, I don't think is a bad thing. What I don't want to do is try and play out from the back. Someone like Basuma or Kulu, gives a sloppy pass and they pounce on it and they score an early goal.
You know what it's going to be, though, Dave, don't you? It's going to be 0-0. It's going to be 0-0.
I'll take it. I'll take the.
I'll take it, but we're all expecting
sorry,
this.
But I do believe we're gonna. I think we score one, and we're gonna score more.
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at it is that they're thinking they're going to trance us tonight. We're thinking we're going to win. It's going to be a boring 0-0. There won't be a shot on target, but it'll be just one of those comical games. They'll have put too much water. You know what's going to happen? They'll put too much water on and ref will bloody disband the bloody game, so there won't even be a match tonight. We'll have to do it again tomorrow. So
look, they're probably trying to get it called off and wait for the Arctic to start snowing again.
Probably. Look, whatever anybody feels tonight, whatever stance anybody has against the team, against the manager, against the owners, against the players, let's just get behind the team. Let's all believe we are going to Bilbao.
Absolutely,
Yes, we
absolutely
are.
spot on. Absolutely
I
spot
just
on.
want to say to Mick, he went, there's no place for Mikey Moore on the bench. He is on the bench.
Yeah, he's on the bench. Mikey Moore, he's on the bench, my man. Oh, but guys, I want to say a massive thank you to Soren, to Paul, to Dermot, to Donovan for giving up their time this evening, for coming on and helping provide this pre-match build-up. Anyone asking where Jack is? The lucky sod's in London at Tottenham Hotspur, heading to the Bricklayer's Arm to watch the game tonight. If we win, he's going to have the night of his life. He's going to have a night to remember, Jack will. Also, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys at home. I'm not going to lie, I came into this really nervous. You guys have settled them an awful lot, and I'm absolutely pumped. We're about an hour away from kickoff, and in about 3 hours' time, we will know our own destiny. I also want to say a massive thank you to the Big D, Faz Radfar, Sonam, Kongi, Totspur 63, Shawnee Maddox, Charlie, Paul, Artist T, and also Jacko as well today for the support. Guys, don't go anywhere. Just go and get your beers on ice, get your sandwiches or your dinners ready. I'll be back here in half an hour's time with the watch along. And hopefully in 3 hours' time, we'll be sitting here fucking in absolute elation. Guys, as always, big game tonight. One of the biggest of our history. As always, come on, you Spurs. Let's fucking go.
Before you end it, Dave, before you end it, let's just remember, Bodo get battered everywhere they go. Bodo get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go.
Oh, Spurs are on their way to Bilbao.
They